Very good morning to you and thanks for joining us on the breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Today is the 16th of January 2025. On the program this morning, we'll be looking at the 2025 budget. We're going to be talking with budget as the flag of major loopholes in the 2025 budget. We also are going to be looking at subsidy removal, best thing to happen to Nigeria, according to Senator Sani. So we'll look at why he said that and measure it with what is really happening in Nigeria and know how many people agree to that statement. We also are going to have our top trending issues that we'll be discussing this morning. And then the headlines, of course, will come in the segment that we call Off the Press. We'll see what made it to the front pages of some of our national dailies. In the meantime, let's pause for a while and take the quote for the day. Our quote for this morning is from Chris Grosser, and he says, "Opportunities don't happen, you create them. Opportunities don't happen, you create them." Yes. Let's say if you want to know what the future holds, you have to be the one to create that future for yourself. A lot of people will say that sometimes there is something called miracles, there's something called God factor and all that. But in most cases, you know that you have to position yourself for God to bless you. You have to be in that position where you can tell God, please bless the works of my hands, and then God blesses you in unexpected ways. So you have to create that opportunity that you want for yourself. You want to be anybody in the future, you start learning how to be it now. And when the God factor comes, something that you can call God luck, you can call grace or anything, you have positioned yourself to be able to take up that job. For instance, if God wants to give you a job in France and what is required is for you to be able to speak French, then you must have learned French somewhere before an opportunity like that can come to you. So you have to put in the work to make sure that whatever you want out of this life comes to you. You have to put in the work to make sure you relate with the people that you need to relate well. You have to put in the work to make sure you learn to be what you want to be in the future. You have to put in the work to make sure that your future is literally in your hands. Like they say, your destiny is in your hands. So what are you doing to create that opportunity for yourself? What are you doing to create that future for yourself today? So speak to yourself now and know where you stand. This is a new year. So what are you going to do to make sure that the year ends better than 2024 did? I know that a lot of people would say, we did everything that we could, but you know, there's that one factor that maybe was missing. Set your soul, set your conscience, set whatever you need to set and make sure that 2025 will not pass by without you achieving that goal. If you want to write that book, it's the time now to start it. If you want to be a poultry farmer, for instance, this is the time to start doing what you need to do. Whatever you want to do, create the opportunity to succeed by yourself. Okay, we'll move straight to the top trending issues this morning. Students attack Ogun Deputy Governor's convoy in protest. On January 15, 2025, that's the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, protesting students from Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, Abeokuta, Ogun State, attacked the convoy of the state's deputy governor, Noimod Salako Oyedele. The incident occurred as Salako Oyedele was en route to attend the 2025 Armed Forces Remembrance Day event at the 35 Artillery Brigade in Abeokuta, where she was representing Governor Dapo Abiodun. The protesters, armed with sticks and other dangerous objects, caused damage to some of the convoy's security vehicles, and several security operatives were injured in the skirmish. The students' aggression escalated when they recognized the deputy governor's presence, prompting them to attempt to demobilize the convoy despite attempts by security officers to calm them. The situation worsened as the students blocked the road, creating further disruptions and obstructing traffic. Despite the efforts to control the situation, the deputy governor was compelled to detour to a safe location to allow the protesters to disperse peacefully. The special advisor to the governor on information, Kayode Akimade, confirmed the attack, revealing that the security forces attempted, or their attempts to pacify the students were unsuccessful. Eventually, Salako Yedele was able to proceed with her planned function after the disruption was resolved. This incident highlights the ongoing tensions between students and local authorities in Ogun State. Well, it's unfortunate. It does not only highlight the tension between students and authorities in Ogun State, it highlights the tension between Nigerians, the led and the leaders. It's tension everywhere. It's a case of, I like to use this, the hen. The hen is a very timid animal. The hen will always run away when someone is approaching, especially the local ones that I know. They will run away at any given opportunity. And when you just shoo them off, they run away. But that same hen will have eggs, will hatch, and it can withstand anything. The eagle, the humans, the bears, anything that comes close to the chicken or the chicks, the hen will be ready to fight that thing. Have you noticed that? A timid animal as the hen that runs away at every given opportunity, when the conditions are right, the hen will stand up to anything. That is what is happening in Nigeria. Gradually, people are becoming emboldened to fight the authorities, and this is not a good sign. Well, first of all, to the students that wanted to take the laws into their hands, and any other Nigerian that might want to take the laws into their hands, this is never good. Don't take the laws into your hands. Just fight whatever you're going to fight within the ambits of the law, because if you take the laws into your hands, it might escalate into something that you may not want to ever experience. But also to the leaders who should do the right thing. It is getting closer and closer to that time where people no longer fear or respect the people in authority because they think they have been betrayed by the people in authority. I've seen where people in authority have had their siblings, they've had their family members kidnapped. Some people have been nearly beaten. Now it's deputy governor, sometimes it's a governor himself, sometimes it's a minister or a member of the National Assembly, and people are getting bolder and bolder and trying to fight. It might get to that time where some leaders might be dragged to the streets and punished for the things that are perceived to be happening because of them and all that. I'm not saying I want that to ever happen, but we should try, if we're leading a people, to do the right thing so that people never get enraged to the point where they begin to become unruly and do the things that they never ordinarily should do. Now, I was expecting in that report that whenever that protest or anything calmed down, somebody addressed the students and reassured them XYZ was going to happen to make sure that whatever they were fighting for is going to be realized. But I just heard that the skirmishes quieted down. The deputy governor passed another way, went to the function that she was supposed to go to and all that. I do hope that whatever the concerns of the students will be addressed. And if it's something that cannot be addressed, these people should get the correct information. It's a matter of trust. So many people do not trust whatever comes out of the mouth of the authorities anymore. And like I said, people are getting bolder and bolder to take laws into their hands, to defend themselves, to defend their rights and all that. And this shouldn't be. So let's look at the fundamental issue that is making people to become what they are right now, or what they are becoming right now in Nigeria, and see how we can address them. We should stop this approach of what I like to describe, as I said the other day, a Nigeria where the leaders are like a father or a parent who has discovered that all his children are having a running stomach. And instead of addressing the issue that is giving them a running stomach, he's busy building more toilets. That is not a solution. The toilet, when people are having running stomachs, is not the solution. You should think of the reason why they're having the running stomach and try to stop it rather than building more toilets. That's what is happening here. You hear that in the budgets, you hear that everywhere, and you wonder whether the leaders are thinking at all, not even inside the box, before you talk of outside the box. So we should think of solutions, and we should think of the root causes of the problems that we have in Nigeria and address them, because whether we like it or not, it will get to a time where you push the citizenry to the wall, so much so that the fight back will be to the death. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen at the time when my children are all grown, whether I'm still here in this life or not. I don't ever want that to happen in Nigeria. So let's be mindful what we do. If we are leaders, be mindful. If we are the led, we should also be mindful, because we are the ones responsible for choosing the leaders that we have in most cases. So let us be mindful of what we do, because like they say in technology, or in the space, garbage in, garbage out. If we put garbage into whatever it is garbage that will get out in return. So like they say, every society deserves the leaders they get. So if our leaders are the people that we are always complaining about, then there's something fundamentally wrong with the people out of which these leaders come. Well, let's leave that word for today. So we hope that these cases in Mapoli will be addressed, and everywhere else in Nigeria, so that we'll have a peaceful Nigeria that we once had, and be proud of our Niger, as we call ourselves. Now, the recent telecom tariff hike in Nigeria has sparked significant concerns as operators defend the increase as necessary for their financial survival amid rising inflation, energy costs, and economic challenges. While telecom services have remained relatively affordable, operators argue that the cost of doing business has risen dramatically, leaving them with little choice but to raise tariffs. This move, however, threatens to exacerbate the financial strain on many Nigerians already struggling with inflation and high living costs. The decision to increase tariffs has drawn mixed reactions, with industry experts like Teslim Shitabe emphasizing the catch-22 situation facing telecom companies. Despite facing high operational costs, including the impact of the removal of subsidies and increased energy prices, telecom companies have been unable to raise prices for over a decade, making it difficult for them to maintain profitability. However, Shitabe warns that such an increase will have some adverse consequences on consumers, particularly in sectors like education and creative industry, where affordable telecom services are crucial. Nigerians have expressed frustration over the impending tariff hike, questioning why operators with substantial revenues will still struggle to provide satisfactory services. Many fear that the increase will worsen an already difficult economic situation, with consumers bearing the brunt of the burden. Despite these concerns, experts suggest that the hike may be unavoidable given the broader economic pressures, although it remains to be seen how the government will balance protecting consumers while ensuring the telecom sector sustainability. Okay, I don't know where Shitabe got the data that telecom companies have not raised their tariffs in the last decade. Because what it used to be this is 2025, what it used to be in 2015 is not the same it is right now. When you buy data that is supposed to take you for a month, I'm not sure it takes you for a week nowadays, and you have to buy again and all that. You load your phone, or you buy airtime, and it's as if there's a straw that they're putting on your airtime and then sucking it. Data goes, airtime goes, and they give you the cost of whatever you're using, and it's outrageous. Tariffs, Nigerians are suspicious that tariffs are being raised all the time without us being told. Yes, that's what a lot of Nigerians believe. That's what even I believe, that they raise tariffs without telling the people. They will threaten you, well, let me not use the word threaten. They will inform you that they intend to raise tariffs. And while they're still going back and forth with the government whether or not to raise tariffs, you'll begin to experience in your phone that a lot of things are not right. So it's not true. I'm not sure it's true. It's true that tariffs have not been increased in the last decade. I'm not sure that is true. It is not the same way it used to be even 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But that is how it is. But I ask myself, what is it that the telecom companies really do that makes them spend so much money? Now, the only answer I get to that is, maybe I don't know the operations, but I think the cost of energy, the cost of power is a very, very serious situation where they have to run generators in each of their masts and all that. And then, okay, it will be taking a toll on them. Otherwise, I don't know any other thing that they do that will take so much money from them, except paying their staff, which is as a result of what they make from the consumers. Now I ask myself, even with the liberal policy of energy generation in Nigeria right now, what is stopping these people from going to gravitating towards a different sort of energy, a different source of energy, like the solar energy? Is it not possible to have solar run the mast or wherever they need this energy in? I'm just asking, because if the solar is more affordable than what they're using right now, the diesel they're using to run every generator where they find every mast of any telecom companies, is it not a possibility to have an option of solar? I'm just asking. And if that is possible, or if it is also possible to generate their own power, then why are they not doing that? Because if the excuse is that power is so high, power consumption, everything that they need to power their mast and everything is so high, why are they not exploring these options? Is it that solar is not strong enough? Why not even you have a mast in a particular community and it is possible for you to generate electricity and use it as a CSR, and give part of it to the community and, as well, but be sure that you're generating it yourself and it is more cost effective, it is cheaper than getting it from the national grid, as it were. Why not think of this alternative? I'm just saying, I'm not an expert, I'm just asking. I think solar is a lot cheaper than the kind of energy we have right now, and the federal government graciously has made it possible for individuals and organizations to get their own energy, to get their own power. So why are they not exploring this? Or are they just looking for something that would be an excuse enough for them to do what they're doing right now? I understand with every company, every organization in Nigeria now, things are really hard. But where there are alternatives, then we should not blame the Nigerian government for the woes that we are finding. In this case, I think the greatest problem is power. And if the greatest problem is power, I think there are alternatives. Why are they not exploring this? Well, I'm just asking aloud. I hope that tariffs don't keep increasing, because like they say in that report, education will suffer. Anything that has to do with research and creativity that you might need to surf the web, or you might need to use the internet or something, will suffer. Even, connectivity, friendship will suffer, relationships will suffer, a lot of things will suffer, because a lot of things also are tied to our phones now, the internet and everything. So something should be done. The government also should look into it and see how these telecom companies will have some kind of lease of life, so to speak, some kind of something to really encourage them and incentivize them so that the people don't suffer, because at the end of the day, it's Nigerians that will suffer, and that is not good in the 21st century. Okay, the final top trending issue this morning, maybe, is a coalition of 67 civil rights organizations, CSOS, in Nigeria has expressed grave concern over the ongoing intimidation, harassment, and threats faced by Amnesty International, reportedly by the Nigerian police force. The group urged President Bola Tinubu to halt the increasing crackdown on activists, journalists, and human rights defenders who are simply exercising their rights. The CSO emphasized that Amnesty International should be allowed to operate freely within the country without fear of reprisals. The coalition's statement comes in response to a letter from the Nigerian police force dated January 6, 2025, threatening Amnesty International with legal action over its report titled Bloody August, Nigerian government's violent crackdown on End Bad Governance protests. The CSOs also referenced other reports of police violence, including the deaths of protesters and numerous arrests without proper legal recourse. Despite these serious allegations of human rights violations, the group criticized the Nigerian authorities for failing to conduct thorough investigations and instead targeting organizations like Amnesty International. The CSOs called on the Tinubu-led administration to take immediate action to end the intimidation of civil society groups, ensuring that journalists, activists, and other individuals can safely carry out their work. They urged the government to investigate the violations thoroughly, ensure justice for victims, and create an environment where civil liberties such as freedom of expression and peaceful assembly are respected. The statement concluded with a strong demand for the cessation of all acts of repression and judicial harassment against human rights defenders in the country. Okay, so before we take the final one, I did say that this was the final one, but we still have one more top trending issue. On this case, my take is that if the police is very sure that Amnesty International is lying, they should take them to court and stop the threat. Just take them to court and provide your own evidences and let Amnesty International provide its own evidences to show that their report was true. Nobody encourages false reportage. Nobody encourages any form of falsehood at all. So if Amnesty International is giving false information, take them to court and let them prove themselves. But otherwise, you have no basis to be intimidating and threatening, I would do this, I would do that. Take them to court and prove beyond reasonable doubt that what they are saying is a lie. Otherwise, then you have no case at all. You're just using your powers as the police. Sometimes they avoid the real issues. The people in authority avoid the real issues and face what is not even the issue. I remember a very funny one that has happened a few days ago, and Nigerians were talking about it, where a particular family was spraying money. That's what the Nigerian police calls the abuse of the naira. We know that Bobrisky went in for it for about 6 months. Even though the case is still very controversial, we don't know where he really went to, because he came out looking fresher and bigger and all that. So, well, that is matter for another day. But we also had a case where I think Cubana chief priest had to pay a fine of, is it 10 million for abuse of the naira? That's what they call it. And then we saw videos of people who were abusing the naira, even more than these people that we were talking about. And then what did the police do? They had to arrest their fellow policeman who was just standing by. Possibly a person who was supposed to be guarding or protecting these people who were spraying this money. You know, that's what happens. The police, you know, are attached to rich men and their children and their family members. So maybe this person was attached to, I don't know how that person was supposed to be the same one to arrest the person he was attached to protect and all that. Well, maybe there's rationale behind that. I don't see it because I'm just an ordinary citizen. But instead of arresting the people who were abusing the money, the naira, they arrested the policeman and said he has been identified and arrested. I heard that there are some other reports that these people have been invited by the police. They were invited. The policeman was arrested. It's always the poor man who is arrested, and the big man is invited to come and to come and discuss the crime they committed. That's what happened to the Kogi State governor, ex-governor. He was invited, and he came with a retinue of bodyguards and all that. Even though now he may be in custody or something, okay, he has posted bail and he's out. But he was also invited, and he came with bodyguards to come and discuss his crime. That's what happens in Nigeria. Very interesting thing. But this should always be the case. You find out that you are on your right, you sue the person that is tarnishing your image. In this case, is Amnesty International. Let them go and answer for it. Anybody else who said this thing is what happened and it is not true, Nigerian police, sue them. take them to court and make sure you convict somebody or an organization. But if you cannot do that, stop the intimidation. You have every right to prosecute anybody who wants to tarnish your image. But when we get to court and we find out that what you are claiming did not happen, really did happen, then it's a problem. The other time the police was saying that the police was very clean and nobody should go to the internet to say one or two things about the police because the police is doing so well. A few days later, what happened was that some police people were asked to return money and properties that they stole from a place that they supposedly raided. And then what are we believing? So we have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that what the people are crying about did not happen. They said that people died at End Bad Governance protest, and the police said no way. And instead of saying no way, after trying, after a few days, they now said, okay, the number that we were told was not like that. It was maybe like 7 people who died, and then they looked for excuses here and there and all that. Bottom line, whoever is spreading falsehood should be prosecuted, and whoever is trying to tarnish the image of the police should be prosecuted. Don't threaten anybody. Just take them to court. Prove to the world that you are right and the other people are wrong, and these people will be sent to prison or will be given the kind of punishment that they need to be given. But for now, if you cannot do that, then stop the noise. As simple as that. Okay, the CBN fines 9 banks 1.35 billion naira over ATM cash shortages is our final top trending issue. This one is really final. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has imposed fines totaling 1.35 billion naira on 9 deposit money banks for failing to ensure sufficient cash availability at automated teller machines, ATMs, during the 2024 festive season. Each bank was fined 150 million naira after spot checks revealed non-compliance with the CBN's cash distribution guidelines. The affected banks include Fidelity Bank, First Bank, Keystone Bank, Union Bank, Globus Bank, Providus Bank, Zenith Bank, United Bank for Africa, and Sterling Bank. CBN's Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Mrs. Hakama Sidi, emphasized the regulator's commitments to ensuring smooth cash flow, particularly during high-demand periods such as the Yuletide season. The fines were imposed after the banks were found lacking in cash availability despite previous warnings from the CBN. The regulator stated that it would not hesitate to take further action against banks failing to comply with cash circulation regulations. To prevent further disruptions, the CBN has pledged to intensify monitoring of cash distributions, particularly targeting cash hoarding and rationing at bank branches and point-of-sale terminals. The bank is also working with security agencies to address illegal cash sales and enforce the daily withdrawal limit for POS operators. The CBN has urged customers to report any ATM or cash withdrawals issues through designated channels. I like that. I like to volunteer to be doing that. You go to a bank, and if you're not using their bank card, you can only be paid maybe 5,000 naira, no matter how urgent the situation is. You can only be paid 5,000 naira, and you can only withdraw if you are using their card to the tune of, is it 50,000 or 60,000 in some cases, and all that. So I don't know if that is what translates to rationing at ATMs and all that. So if that is the one, let them explain it well. I will volunteer, a lot of us will volunteer to report banks that have been frustrating people over time now. But it's a very good move that the CBN has made to make sure that the banks sit up, because it's been very frustrating in a lot of cases. But, well, let the right things be done. Let Nigeria grow. Naija no go spoil for our hand, as we like to say. That'll be all for the top trending issues. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we hopefully will be joined by Nika Gule to analyze the headlines on some of our national dailies. Stay with us.